So good morning, everyone. Welcome. And now I'll start a screen share and the agenda will be the second slide. And so if you now see the screen share, here is our agenda, which begin with introductions. And there aren't too many of us. I'll just open up the floor and let you introduce yourselves one by one. Perhaps we'll start with the supervisors and then the executive office and then follow naturally from there.
I'm Ted Williams, and I'm excited that we're at a bit of a transition time. The state is taking up broadband funding in a big way, and I think we're going to be able to leverage our previous plans, but work closer with RCRC to represent us in 36 other counties and similar needs.
Yeah, I'm John Haschek, 3rd District Supervisor. Glad to be here. I think there's a lot going on, so it sounds like this is a place to be.
Good morning, Darcy Antle, Assistant CEO.
Good morning. Now I'll just defer to whomever.
Marianne Petrillo, CEO of West Business Development Center. Happy to be here.
Paloma Patterson, Senior Business Development Manager, West Business Development Center.
Megan Barber-Yende, CEO of the Community Foundation.
Katie, former member of the Community Foundation and Broadband Alliance Steering Committee member.
Mike,
and I'm Jeff Tyrrell.
Broadband.
Thank you, Mike. I apologize for speaking over you. I'm Jeff Tyrrell, Administrator for the Broadband Alliance of Mendocino County. I think we have not excluded anyone. And so the next item on the agenda, first of all, I should indicate that, Chair, as I said before beginning the record, Chair Wiley unexpectedly has duties to attend to and can't make it. It was a surprise to her this morning. I see that Michelle Hutchins is joining, our Mendocino County School Superintendent. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so with my introduction of you, we have gone through all of the introductions. And so the next item would be revision to the agenda. Are there additional things that we might want to plug in to the layout? Hearing none, the agenda that was circulated with the link had the June minutes, which we've received some feedback to already. It went through the steering committee's revisions before being circulated, and others upon seeing it approved. But if we want to, I'm not sure we typically take votes, but I thought it appropriate to review minutes as part of an ongoing agenda. And so you have each had the opportunity to review the minutes. If there are revisions, now would be the time to indicate them. Hearing none, we can move right into the big news on the state level of the passage of AB/SB 156. And it's historic broadband legislation that was passed in 2021, in July of 2021, that expands the state's broadband fiber infrastructure and increases internet connectivity for families and businesses. It amounts to $6 billion that is being divided between middle mile projects and last mile projects. And so there is $3.25 billion for middle mile projects, and we'll get more in depth on that later. And then $2 billion for last mile projects. $1 billion goes to the 36 rural counties, and it's divided that each of the 37 counties will receive $5 million off of the top, then based on their percentage of unserved households among the category of rural counties, we would receive the remainder. And the CPUC has the latest data on which they were going to make those determinations, but the previous sets of data have Mendocino County's proportion varying between 35 million and 70 million. So we have to wait and see what the CPUC says our portion would be. And there's much to discuss. Any questions or comments at this point? I think that I'm going to rely largely on, I mean, there's a lot of information in the slide deck. However, I think that your questions are most important and should be answered. So I'll periodically ask for comment. Okay, moving on. The SB 156 establishes a middle mile advisory committee, and it's made up of 9 members from the various departments. And so the middle mile is being developed by the Department of Technology and the California Public Utilities Commission. And so their chairs and presidents are on the board, as is the Department of Finance and the Department of Transportation, because the middle mile will be managed by Caltrans. So additionally, there is government operations included, but there are 4 elected members, 2 of which are our elected members, Senator Mike McGuire and Assembly Member Jim Wood. Thoughts or questions to this point? Hearing none, we'll move to the next slide. And this kind of backtracks, describes the Middle Mile Advisory Committee and what their role is, and some detail about how they will prioritize. Incidentally, I see that Jim Moorhead has joined, our founding member. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, Mike.
Oh, there, Jim.
And so the goal of the middle mile is to provide affordable open access middle mile broadband infrastructure that enables last mile network connectivity through the state. And they hope to build it expeditiously, leveraging existing infrastructure and networks where feasible. And priority is given to unserved and underserved communities, which is important to Mendocino County. Incidentally, all of these slides, which I can share later, are derived from the sites at the bottom, the links. You can follow up in more detail with these links when you have them before you. So thoughts or questions?
Just one quick question. Are you going to be, it looks like it's coming up right next, is the mapping. Is that correct, Jeff? Yes.
So I've pulled up a map of what the middle mile is in its draft form, and the consortium provided a preferred map prior to the development of their map, and we had more robust connections in Mendocino County that included continuation of Highway 1 beyond Cleone. So I'm not sure that I can zoom in. Maybe I can. Right here, if you see my arrow, is where Highway 1 terminates, and that is in Cleone. As part of the proceeding, the consortium can provide comments, and we have requested minimally that Highway 1 extend to Westport Union Landing State Beach, so that with our last mile dollars, we can conceivably continue along Branscombe Road and connect to 101, so that we would have a loop. Right now, I'm not sure you can see in detail, but Highway 1 goes all the way to the county line from Cleone, and Highway 128 goes from Highway 1 to Cloverdale, but that means that we don't really have a fiber ring within the county. We have a fiber ring that exits the county and comes back in. So a message sent from Fort Bragg would have to leave the county and come back, which in terms of latency and fiber is incidental, but in terms of robust infrastructure, it would be preferable that we have alternate routes so that if there is some unforeseen wildfire or unforeseen line loss, we would have alternate routes that would ensure communication.
And Jeff, I would add it may also be of benefit to Humboldt because as it's currently laid out, they're depending on that link south through Mendocino to Sonoma. Whereas creating a loop from Westport back to Leggett would give redundancy to the county to the north.
Good point.
I don't have any either.
And I would point out that this is really a great investment in the infrastructure of the county, and we are largely satisfied with the amount of investment that we're looking at, including connection to Covelo, which is fantastic. I mean, it's a community that desperately needs the internet, and it is wonderful. It's very helpful. We'll see what I think that currently there might be some fiber strung along the poles that is inactive, and so I'm not sure whether Caltrans and the Department of Technology intends to just utilize that infrastructure as it is configured, or whether or not they plan to underground it. Of course, we would prefer it be undergrounded, but there are hundreds of thousands of details that we could all explore through the next years that will be revealed in time.
Did the original map show something, a ring out of Covelo to another location, or did it always terminate at the Covelo central office there?
The consortium submitted a map that didn't include Covelo, but instead included Highway 20 and the continuation of Highway 1 to Piercy or Leggett.
Thank you.
And so I think the middle mile planning is intended to connect anchor institutions and tribes. And so they saw the wisdom in connecting the tribal community of Covelo. But I don't know that there is an alternate route. I mean, I know that out the back of Covelo, there's a way to get over into the Sacramento Valley, but it's a dirt road last I traveled it.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes awfully good sense to have fiber connection because their existing service from the existing provider up in Covelo is substandard.
You're absolutely right. And so in addition to connecting the tribes, the anchor institutions are involved. And so there is a few miles on Route 271, which is up in Leggett. Presumably that connects to a school. I haven't identified what is at the end of the 7.5 miles in Route 271. Similarly, in Route 222, I believe it's connecting to the Office of Education, but that's
Yes.
That's our address, 2240.
right. And I plugged that in with the question mark because it seemed the logical usage of that route.